Hello, this is a special episode of Americast, part of our series looking at Donald Trump's first 100 days back in the White House as President of the United States of America. Today, another seismic change.
Yeah, who did you say? Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
Yeah, hiring the world's richest man, Elon Musk, to take a chainsaw to the American state and make big decisions about what America spends money on at home and abroad. I'm Matt Chorley in the Americast studio.
I'm Marianna Spring in the worldwide headquarters of Americast, which is what we
Justin
call
Webb,
it.
sitting next to her and approving that message.
Okay, so let's hear first from Robert Ashford at Unity Recovery in Philadelphia. They're losing all their federal government funding, obviously because Elon was put in charge of Doge or created Doge. Yes, they used to run addiction and homelessness services. Let's hear from Robert Ashford.
It feels hollow. It feels empty. And we caught up in what feels like political warfare. All of it still feels like a really bad nightmare. I don't care who you voted for or anything. Like, everybody's been touched by this, whether it's homelessness, addiction, mental health, incarceration. How long are we going to let this continue when people like Lil and thousands of others who have nothing else have no services, no safety net? It's going to be death and despair for a long time.
I mean, it feels like when we get to the end of 2025, Doge might be one of the words of the year, a word that we didn't know anything about at the beginning of the year. And now it's just part of our conversation.
Yeah, unless you're sort of into crypto and meme coins, Doge.
Which I am not.
And which I imagine a few people listening might not be. You probably are unlikely to have come across that word, Doge. So the Doge coin is like a type of cryptocurrency, basically. And this Doge actually stands for the Department of Government Efficiency. So this advisory board that was set up once Donald Trump was elected to deal with what he would call kind of inefficiency in government, in the federal government, bureaucracy, et cetera, et cetera.
And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit. And if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense. But if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And it's important, just a kind of very brief potted history of Elon Musk's relationship with Donald Trump pre-Doge, and also the kind of broader tech bros relationship with Donald Trump. Donald Trump and Elon Musk became more closely aligned as the year went on last year. And when the assassination attempt happened on Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, Elon Musk came out and was like, right, I'm supporting Donald Trump. I want it to be this guy. But it was kind of after all of this, and Elon Musk had been on a real sort of rampage, for want of a better word, on X, where he wasn't just posting about like what he perceives to be woke and stuff that he thought was too liberal and whatever, but also actually this very fundamental idea of like almost like this deep state concept, this idea of wasteful bureaucrats who have no interest in sticking up for you and who are part of the elites. And Donald Trump built his entire campaign really around that. We are against the kind of elite, wasteful people in government who don't care about you or understand your lives. And Elon Musk became the kind of point of he would just talk about it all the time. And so it was very unsurprising when he was made what Donald Trump had said the whole time, head of Doge.
Subtlety is not something that Elon Musk does. So in a quite literal way, and he was taking a chainsaw to the state.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
He does love a stunt, does Elon?
And the hat and all of that. It's not a new idea. A Republican president coming in and saying they want a smaller state. It's a slightly more colourful way of going about it. But this is
a Democrat one as well. It was Al Gore's great thing when he ran for the presidency. He was going to slash the state, and maybe he used to make speeches about it. It was right across the board. Actually, there is a sense in American life, as I suppose there is to an extent in all democracies, that people come in saying, we can save money, we can we can have efficiencies and we can use those efficiencies then to have a wonderful life. You hear politicians, you know this.
They do it all the time.
They do it all the time, don't they? And America's no stranger to it either.
I think that the difference this time is not necessarily in the detail, although perhaps some of it is, but it's also in like the manner in which it's been carried out and the way that it's been done. And so you think about, actually, if we look at the blueprint of what Elon Musk did do at Twitter, which he called X, you know, he did this very quite dramatic cutting of, we're going to get rid of loads of the safety teams, we're going to get rid of all these people, and actually let's expose the files of how they were all actually being unfair and treating people on the right particularly badly. They've kind of followed that blueprint with this, which is doing big things that catch people's attention. So for example, the cuts to aid, like USAID, they plan to cut 83% of its programme. That is a big deal. That means essentially they're no longer a big funder of international development. So things like emergency communal kitchens in Sudan, 30,000 community drug distributors in Sierra Leone, a 5-year project to boost climate-friendly farming in Vietnam. Those are the kinds of projects that were being funded. And so it was a bit of a bang, really. It was like, oh, we're not going to do any of these things. And you could see why a lot of people reacted very strongly to that, thinking, well, hang on a second, those are probably good things. Why do we not want to do those things anymore?
But this is a theme which is sort of running through this whole series of the difference between ends and means. The aim of smaller state, and that's quite popular. You know, and if you've got efficiencies, it means you don't have to put up taxes or cut other spending. But the way you go about it and the impact, you know, going for the big bang impact, and maybe worrying about the consequences a bit later on. But I suppose it goes to the heart of the question, Justin, is what does Donald Trump think the state should do? And he doesn't, you know, we've seen it with Ukraine. He doesn't think the US should be spending all this money around the world.
Really interesting question, that. So, yeah, no, he doesn't think it should be spending money around the world. And he's been pretty vocal about that. I think we can hear him.
Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of.
Now, okay, so he goes through all those things, and the audience laughs. And I think a lot of Americans would say, okay, we don't want to do things in Lesotho, whatever. But to go to your point, Matt, does he actually want to spend less in the United States? And the answer to that, interestingly, is no. He wants to spend more. He's a big government guy when it comes to the United States. And on his right in the Republican Party, there are plenty of people who are genuine conservatives who want the state to be smaller and specifically are really worried about America's burgeoning debt and their ability to service that debt in the future. And they want real cuts. And one of the big kind of political clashes that is beginning to happen now is between Donald Trump, who quite likes the idea of spending a load of money in the United States, and wants it to be spent specifically on pensions and on healthcare for poorer people, etc., doesn't want to see cuts in those things. And other Republicans are saying, no, hang on a second, we need not just Doge. Doge is a bit of a sideshow. We need genuine cuts in entitlements in the spending of the state. And Doge, actually, they say, doesn't really give us that.
Is the truth that Donald Trump is not really a Republican?
Exactly the truth. You've summed it up.
That he,
one pithy sentence, as is your wont.
And
He's not a Republican.
In another episode, we'll talk about his approach to tariffs. Like the protectionism in tariffs is, again, not a traditional Republican position.
Exactly.
And yet he's aligned himself with Elon Musk and these others who...
And the Doge thing complicates it, because the Doge thing that Trump has very much supported, the idea of cutting waste, yes, he's very keen on that. But the idea of cutting expenditure, he's much less keen on. And that seems to me is where a potential clash comes in the well, I was going to say the long term, actually the quite short term future potentially.
I think as well, a lot of this gets to something that you've mentioned a lot, Justin, which I think is a really important point, which is and we've spoken about this kind of make America great again and what that looks like to Donald Trump and just what Trump sees America as now, and this idea of America as a set of ideals, a do-gooder, a country that is kind of responsible for like elevating the well-being of the rest of the world in some ways, or playing a really important part in that. And some of the aid conversation kind of gets to that point. That doesn't interest Donald Trump anymore. And it's that kind of like, we are a land and a territory that will be defended from, and we will protect our people, and we will not be sort of giving out handouts, as he calls it, or helping people in the way that we were before, which has huge ramifications for the rest of the world. And I think one of the things that will be interesting on Doge and will really affect what happens during Donald Trump's presidency is to what extent the concept of, and this actually is about ideals really, to what extent the concept of, oh, okay, we're going to smash a chainsaw or what have you through these departments, and we're going to get rid of all the inefficiency, and we're going to do X, Y, or Z. How that actually does play out when it comes to job losses, when it comes to people who are, quite tangibly being affected by these decisions, and think, oh, hang on, I didn't think the kind of reducing the efficiency of the elite looked like this for my family and my community.
And also, does it save any money?
So I suppose then's looking forward to the first 100 days. There's been a lot of Elon Musk and his chainsaw and all of that. I mean, technically, he can't stay beyond 130 days, can he, in his job? And he's
no, because of these, and he's 1 or 2 days a week now
to Tesla anyway. But then it's easy to cut the low hanging fruit, if that's the right, or the fat or whatever. But does he keep on cutting, or does he come up against exactly the issues you're talking about, Marianna, which is Americans suddenly finding, actually, oh, sorry, I'm being affected by these. It's not them over there, it's me who's being affected. Or does he get pushed around by Republicans who want to genuinely see a smaller state?
I think the big clash is that clash between him and Republicans who want to see a smaller state. And I think as Trump's power fades during the course of his presidency, you'll see that debate within the party getting much bigger. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if J.D. Vance is kind of forced into taking a position for the next election, assuming he's going to be the candidate, on the extent to which he actually genuinely wants to put Doge to one side and say, we are really going to cut the kind of meat of the state, of the administrative state, in a way that Doge doesn't really touch. So I think you're right. The big debate is actually still to come.
I think as well, the other issue at play here, and it's possibly why Elon Musk starts to, as he has already started doing, remove himself from the picture and kind of fades into the background, although he's not famous for being in the background, so he just sort of evolves his role in some other way, is because actually the narrative that got Donald Trump elected, or part of the narrative that got Donald Trump elected, was, we're going to deal with these elites who waste your money and don't stick up for you. The problem is, if it's perceived that though you've then become those elites, Elon Musk is an incredibly rich man, as are lots of the social media bosses he hangs out with, as is Donald Trump in lots of ways, or a very powerful man. Does the narrative then flip to, oh, hang on, the powerful unelected billionaires like Elon Musk are messing up our communities and changing our lives, and I've lost my job, and actually you said all these things would work better, but hang on a second, people who were actually kind of good at their jobs have left, and actually it doesn't work better, and etc. Like, that's the real risk of it. If he pulls it off and people do perceive that it's become more efficient and better, then okay, maybe that narrative doesn't hold, but that's a pretty hard thing to pull off.
Which is why it'll be fascinating to see how the next 100 days and beyond unfold. Well, we'll leave it there for now. Don't forget, you can listen to the whole of our series looking at Donald Trump's first 100 days back in the White House on BBC Sounds, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for Americast to find all the episodes.